Hey everybody, I am so excited to welcome our next guest, Alison Merrell. She is a career coach and founder of Alison Merrell Consulting. She helps people find jobs. Alison, thanks so much for being on our show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first off, I would love to hear a little bit more about what you do and the kind of clients you work with.
Absolutely. So I work with clients across the board, whether you are still in college looking for your very first job or internship, ready to make your first career change, or you're later in your career and you just need a pivot. You realize the role that you're doing isn't what you want, the industry is not what you want, and going from there of what your next step looks like. And I work with clients to do everything from coaching and actually looking for what roles are available to resume review, revamping your LinkedIn profile, preparing for those interviews as they come up, and everything in between.
Wow. Well, this is such a vital time for people to work with someone like you because there's just so many applicants and so many jobs. And that's precisely where I wanted to interview you, because I know that you probably have some handy dandy tools and tips that people may not know about. And so I really love to kind of hear, not giving away your whole business. Obviously you want to keep some things to be desired because I want people to hire you too. But what are some tips people can know about when they're just submitting something to say, if companies are using Workday, it's a sourcing for jobs, or any other platform? I'd love to hear how you can get noticed through that.
Sure. So nowadays, almost every single company is using an ATS, or an applicant tracking system. And that you would see which one they're using when you're taken to the application page. So Workday is one, like you mentioned, Greenhouse, Taleo, SuccessFactors. These are all ways that internally they're able to keep all the candidates in one place under each different job requisition. And so when you're applying, typically you think, I want to have a really beautiful, flashy resume. And you might have even worked with somebody who helped you make that beautiful, flashy resume. It's a PDF, it might have graphics or text boxes. And what people don't realize is these applicant tracking systems now use a lot of AI to parse your resume and pull out keywords that they have entered, which helps them from going through, 100 resumes per role. Instead, they're saying, these are the keywords I'm looking for. Now I'm looking to the technology to show me who the best candidates are. What candidates don't realize is 75% of resumes now across the board aren't even seen by a human, which is terrifying, but not if you're doing it correctly. So what could be as simple as the hiring manager wanted to look for somebody with supervising experience, and on your resume you put managing experience. Now those aren't aligning, and it might not recognize that you're as qualified as you really are. Wow. And you might not get in front of the recruiter. So being able to look at your resume against every single role that you're applying for, which is very time consuming, and making sure, are you using the same verb tense as the job posting lists? Are you using the same kind of keywords? Are you describing your experience in the same way that they describe it in the job posting? Will help get that seen. Additionally, making sure those keywords are on your resume in some place, picking out what are the top keywords from that posting and making sure they're reflected somewhere on your resume, and then not having a flashy PDF. So you don't want text boxes. You don't want anything that could be difficult for the system to understand. So that might be just going back to a boring Word format. You still want it to be easy to read and clear, nice spacing, still visually appealing, but less fancy.
Interesting. Wow. Well, I learned something right there. I've definitely flashy resumes, and I had to go back and redo all of the resumes and, put in the actual text, which I'm more of a graphic designer, so that kind of hurt me a little bit having to do that. But it sounds kind of like search engine optimization, but in your world. Yeah.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'd love our audience to kind of hear your background and how you even got into this.
Of course. So I spent several years in the corporate recruiting side, working internally at a financial services company and working with clients across the board in all different facets of roles, from sales and marketing to engineering and IT to trading and investment management. And I loved working with candidates. I loved helping them find jobs that they were excited about. But what I really had a hard time with was not being able to give candidates feedback that seemed to be struggling in their search. So I was representing the employer side, and after leaving that position, decided I want to work with the candidates to help them be successful in this search. And that was a really huge change for me, to be able to be really transparent with candidates and coach them through interviews and be able to share the expertise that I had learned, that if you're not in the industry, you probably don't even realize, just like the resume pieces. So that was something that was really rewarding to me, and it's been really amazing since launching. I've had several prior candidates and people I've worked with in my career just reach out and go, oh my gosh, now that you're doing your own thing, I have to work with you, or I have to refer my friend to you who's struggling. And being able to feel like you're really helping somebody see what is next for them, especially during a time like this where it's a really difficult time to be looking for a job. And it's led a lot of people, especially who were furloughed or laid off, to realize I wasn't doing what I wanted to be doing anyway. And now that I have this time, I can think about what I really do want to be doing next. It's kind of like flying the plane while you're building it, because you need a job right now to help pay your bills, but you want to be doing something different that you enjoy more. And so working with candidates on just sort of that soul searching and looking internally of what do I want to be doing? What will I feel is rewarding to me? And then helping them get there. So it's been a really great experience so far.
Well, before we close, I'd love to hear if you have any extra tips, or maybe if there's any, industry people should be looking for right now, as far as like who's hiring, and, if that's something that you could share as well.
Sure. So right now there is a plethora of customer service and customer success positions. That's a really transferable skill set. Anything really that has been people oriented, you can now pivot and do these remote customer success or customer service positions. And because everyone's at home, they're remote roles, and they're great opportunities that you can do across so many different industries right now. I think the biggest tip I have is don't lose hope. It's super frustrating right now. It's super frustrating when you read a job and you know that you are 100% qualified and you're still getting declined, and you don't know why, and you're not getting any additional details. My best piece of advice there is, if they aren't sending it from a no reply email, if they're sending it from a real person, follow up. See if they have any advice that they can give you, if they can give you any additional reasoning on why you weren't selected. Keep in touch with them, add them on LinkedIn, show them how interested you are in working for their company, reach out to them, stay in touch with them. That sets you apart and just keeps you top of mind in the process. And that can be so important. It's not because you're not qualified. It's because there just happen to also be 200 other really qualified people that are also looking for roles right now. And that's really difficult. You don't know. Sometimes it really could come down to a tiny little thing if they're looking at so many qualified people across the board that are the same. So how do you humanize yourself beyond just your resume and stand out in their mind? And I encourage you to get creative. Email them, add them on LinkedIn, send them messages, set yourself apart and make yourself memorable so that they can't ignore your resume.
Wow, that is such great advice. I'm excited about going on LinkedIn myself and just connect with people, more for the show, but that's great advice. Well, thank you so much for sharing free advice with our viewers, and putting the the link for your company on this episode as well, so people can reach out and hire you to help them find a job.
Perfect. And I do LinkedIn revamps as well. So if you get stuck trying to redo your profile, don't hesitate to reach out.
All right. Well, audience, you heard it first. Thank you so much.
Thank you.